These holy tempers, humility, gentleness, patience, and others, are formed when congregations are organized in accord with their baptismal vocation of social holiness. Did you know that? You all have a baptismal vocation of social holiness. The congregation makes 4 promises to the baptized. And I recommend that every congregation prominently display the promises that we make in the baptismal covenant, to be constantly reminded of what we are called to do for each other. Because keeping those promises help us to give to the people who are baptized, who are all of us, to equip us to keep the promises we as individuals make to God. And I contend that if we're not willing to do that, if we're not willing to provide, to equip the people, every baby and child and adult that we baptize, we're not willing to equip them with what they need to keep those promises, then perhaps we shouldn't be baptizing people. If we're not willing to help, because we cannot keep those promises on our own. That's why the congregation makes these promises: to nurture one another in the Christian faith and life, proclaim the good news and live according to the example of Christ, to be a community of love and forgiveness, that each member may grow in their trust of God and be found faithful in their service to others. Now, what that tells me is that when you are baptized, you don't come to the church so that the church can serve you. The church isn't there to meet every one of your needs. That doesn't mean we shouldn't care for people and love them, but we need to be caring for them and love them to equip them to be servants. That also means there are no volunteers in the church. Volunteer is a word we should scratch from our vocabulary, that we are baptized to serve. So they're going to throw me out of here, Bishop. And to pray for each member that they may be true disciples who walk in the way that leads to life. To love and care for each member and to do all in our power. This is the very end of the baptismal covenant. To love and care for each other, and to do all in our power. This is where the pastor says to the congregation, I commend this person or these persons to your love and care. You get that? What that says is the pastor isn't the one who does all the discipling. It's the job of you, the people, to do that work, to disciple one another. Disciples make disciples. I commend these persons to your love and care. Do all in your power to increase their faith, confirm their hope, and perfect them in love. The fruit of baptismal living, therefore, is holiness of heart and life, which maintains the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace. So my question for you is, how is the congregation you serve organized to keep the baptismal promises? How do you order the life of your congregation so that faith is increased, hope in Christ is confirmed, and all members are perfected in love? And what that Christian perfection, that's in our tradition, that's the goal of the Christian life. Perfection in love. And a way of thinking and understanding what that means is to grow up. And that's what Paul's going to talk about in the next part of we'll talk about that tomorrow, but being perfected in love means being a full-grown, fully mature adult Christian. That we're no longer children, but we are full grown, fully trained, and equipped to be in mission with Christ in the world. That love becomes and is our natural response to the people around us and to the world, not fear. That's what perfection in love means. So verses 1 to 3 can be summed up in the Hebrew word shalom. It is commonly translated as peace, but the peace of shalom includes wholeness, justice, compassion, and unity. Shalom is the goal of God's mission in, with, and for the world. The church's role in God's mission is to be a witness and a bearer of God's shalom to the world. The church is called and commissioned by God to extend the covenant of Abraham, where God said to Abraham in Genesis 12, 1-3, "Go, I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." Did you hear that? We are in the covenant of baptism. God blesses us, blesses the church, in order for the church to be a blessing for the world. What that says to me is the church is one of the few institutions and bodies in this world that does not exist primarily for itself. We exist to be a witness and an agent of God's kingdom in the world, to bring the world into God's kingdom, to bring people into relationship with the living God in Jesus Christ. So when the church obeys Christ's command to love one another, just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. It equips members to follow his teaching summarized by him in the great commandments. You shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul and mind, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself.